Hey there, folks. Today, we have a truly heartwarming and inspiring story to share with you. It's about an elderly woman who has a special mission in her life, collecting trash. But this is no ordinary trash collection. This lady's actions have a profound impact on the entire city. Every morning, before the sun rises, an old woman walks the streets of our city, pushing a rusted cart full of trash. Her back is bent, her clothes worn and patched, her hands wrinkled and rough from years of work. She moves silently, unnoticed, invisible, a ghost among the living. People walk past her without a second glance. Some whisper, "She must be homeless." Others scoff, "Why doesn't she go to a shelter?" No one asks for her name. No one cares. But I do. Because one evening, when the world had already gone home, I saw something that changed everything. I was walking home late when I saw her near the abandoned bookstore. She wasn't just collecting trash. She was sorting it. With careful, practiced hands, she picked up books, old papers, and broken school supplies, wiping them clean, pressing pages flat, and placing them neatly in a separate bag. My heart stopped. Why would an old woman who collects trash care so much about books? That night, I followed her. She walked for miles past busy streets, through dark alleys, until she reached a small, broken-down house. Inside, I saw something that shook me to my core. Her house was not filled with garbage. It was filled with books. Hundreds of them, piled on shelves, stacked in corners, neatly arranged by subject. On the floor, children sat on small mats, reading under dim candlelight. She wasn't just collecting trash. She was building a school. I stepped forward, unable to contain my shock. Who are you?" I asked. The old woman looked up, her eyes tired but filled with kindness. "My name is Mrs. Rosa," she said softly. "And these are my children." She wasn't talking about her own biological children. She was talking about the orphans, the homeless kids, the forgotten ones, the children no one else cared about. With no money, no support, and no recognition, Mrs. Rosa had turned her tiny home into a school for those who had nothing. She taught them to read, to write, to dream. And she did it all with nothing but trash. I couldn't sleep that night. For years, the city had ignored her, laughed at her, judged her. And yet, she had been doing more good than any of us. So, I made a decision. The next morning, I wrote about her. I shared her story. I told the world about Mrs. Rosa's secret. And something incredible happened. People started noticing her. They came with donations, books, food, and support. They came with volunteers, teachers, and students. They came with love. And the woman who had once been invisible became the heart of the city. Years later, the city built a real school in her honor. Mrs. Rosa never asked for fame, never sought recognition. She only wanted to give children a future. And she did. Because kindness, true kindness, leaves a mark that never fades.